Good evening once again, podcast world, and those out there on Facebook Live. We got another one of our special guests for you. It's time for another episode of Things My Mother Never Told Me. Tina, say hey.
Hey, everybody out there. Thanks for tuning in to us on tonight. Yes, we do have
Right.
a special guest.
Yeah, Todd, as we talked about earlier, we're going to read your bio, then ask you a couple questions, and then let you tell the story as only you can tell it.
All right.
And for our listening audience, we also want you to chime in and ask them questions, because this is for you as well. All right, meet Todd, Dr. Todd B. Ester. DDS MA is the Assistant Dean for Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion, and is a clinical assistant professor in the Department of Cardiology, Restorative Material Sciences, and Endodontics at the University of Michigan School of Dentistry. He is also a founding partner of Renaissance Endodontics PLLC, established in 2003 in Southfield, Michigan. As the Assistant Dean for University, Equity, and Inclusion, Dr. Ester is a collaborative responsible for planning and delivering programs and services related to diversity issues for students, faculty, and staff at the University of Michigan School of Dentistry, and coordinating diversity programs and functions for students. Dr. Ester most recently served on the steering committee for the School of Dentistry's 2020 climate study and serves as a steward for the strategic plan, people domain, and is the DEI co-lead representing the School of Dentistry for the University of Michigan campus wide 5-year DDI strategic planning initiatives. Dr. Ester recently completed training to become an unconscious bias trainer for the University of Michigan campus and health systems. Dr. Ester received numerous awards and honors throughout his career. He is a graduate from Morehouse in 1990 with honors in biology and lives by the credo that service is the price we pay for living on God's magnificent earth. And with God, I can do all things.
All things.
Woo, that was a mouthful for me, as you can see.
Welcome.
You read it well, sis. You read it well.
How you doing today?
I'm doing fantastic. It's great to be here with my good friends. It's always good to be able to share and just to learn what you all are doing in this pandemic to keep the community together. So thank you for all that you are doing.
Yes.
Thank you. We thank you for wanting to be a guest on the show. We're going to jump in here because one thing that you didn't put on there, and I talked to you about this earlier, is where'd you go to high school?
Cass Tech, CT.
There you
green
go.
And white.
Green and white, CT in the house.
CT, green. I was green and white for a while before I went blue. How about that?
Yeah, so if y'all keeping score out there, chalk up another one for Cass Tech. and then you went to Morehouse
College. Yes,
all
sir.
Right. Tell us just a little bit about life at Morehouse.
Oh my goodness. So, I'm a first generation college graduate, born and raised in Detroit, Michigan. And so for me, it's so important to make that statement because I think that gives honor to our parents, right?
Right.
Yes.
Our parents who raised us, that we could be anything we want to be right in Detroit. So many people don't really realize that about just the special nature that Detroit really just is. And it's a big family, our communities in Detroit, and growing up in the 70s and the 80s.
Yes.
I graduated high school in 86. It was just so important. We had a family around us, and they told us through our church, through our community, through our block clubs, through our households, you could be anything you want to be. So I dreamed of being a dentist. And to get there, my high school counselor at Cass, as a matter of fact, Miss Johnson, shout out to Miss Johnson. She was the one who said, you've been doing this Martin Luther King speech all your life. You should look at Morehouse. Morehouse, what about Morehouse? Because I was, of course, being from Michigan, you just think about the Michigan schools.
Right.
And when she said it was Dr. King's alma mater, it really just resonated with me because I was born the year Dr. King was assassinated, and he has always been a special force in my life. I feel like I'm a mentee of his and his work, his teaching, and his path. So yeah, going to Morehouse was what, you know, I was sold. So Detroit had a wonderful Morehouse Alumni Association. Give a big shout out to all of the Alumni Association who really helped young people at the time. Many of our my colleagues at Cass who went to Morehouse, like Nate Ford, for example, reached out back to our class and made sure we had a goal. So when I went to Morehouse, there was 5 of us, 5 or 6 of us from Cass who went to Morehouse that year. And so we had a really strong connection from Detroit to Morehouse. And, you know, Detroit runs everything. You know, we got down
That's right.
The Morehouse campus. We had the Michigan Club was huge at Spelman and Morehouse in Park, Atlanta. And it was just a time of, you know, think of the time when, you know, of course this is pre-COVID, but just think of the time when, you know, we would get together on the campuses. So, you know, during my time at Morehouse, we would go to Howard's homecoming, and Morehouse homecoming was everything.
Oh, I'm sure.
We would go to Hampton for what we call Virginia Beach celebration right around Labor Day. And it was everything. And we would go to FAMU to some of the things down at Gatorville. We would go over to, we would go down to Tennessee State. I mean, you know, we were traveling like that, you know, in college, our freshman, our sophomore years. And of course, coming from Cass, again, big shout out to Detroit Public Schools teachers and to Cass Tech, because, you know, we have, you know, DPS has been doing amazing work over the centuries. But we were able to, you know, there were so many friends who were in colleges all across the country. We knew from Cass, you know, and all our schools in the DPS. So it was a fantastic time to be a college student. It was a great time to learn about myself as a Black man in America. For the first time at an HBCU, I was able to suspend race and what it meant to be Black in the country. I was able to just be a human being for those 4 years. And I think that's one of the greatest gifts that our HBCUs give to its students, is a chance to just suspend the issues of race and not look at yourself through the lens of being a person of color, but just as a person. And just as a human being. That empowerment has meant the world.
Ooh, you definitely inspired some of my listeners already.
I'm about to go back to school. I'm gonna run on down there and see if I can get some of that.
Go get it.
Right. So when you went to Morehouse, you matriculated, you left with honors, and so then what did you do next?
So, you know, I came to Morehouse knowing I wanted to be a dentist, and that was a big help. You know, not all young people need to know that going right off to college, but that was a help for me because I was able to focus on, you know, on kind of focusing on the trail and the pathway into dentistry. So I was exposed to an amazing mentor, Dr. Lee Jones, who was at the Michigan Dental School at the time, and he would recruit students of color from across the nation. He would come to Morehouse every year. And so I kind of had a link into Michigan that through Dr. Jones, of course. Some of my big sister who was at Spelman, Dr. Nicole Fields, a big shout out to her. She was at Spelman, and she was from Renaissance High School.
Another good one.
And she had gone off to Michigan Dental School a year ahead of me. So it was just like, it was a no-brainer that I would get to Michigan. I would have the support that I felt I would need to be successful. And so, and I would be able to come back home. You know, I'm the youngest of 4 in my family. And so, you know, being back home with my parents and family was important. When you go away 600 miles to school, sometimes you're looking forward to come back home. And so it was good to get close. And Ann Arbor was close enough, you know, and I was able to get back to the church community, you know, New Prospect Baptist Church community. And you know, we grew up, but you know, you all know I grew up in the church.
That's right.
So, you know, just was a product, you know, of the church and all that it meant. So it was nice to be able to be back home. So I did dental school at Michigan for the next 4 years. And then after graduating dental school, I went to Harlem Hospital to do my residency as a dentist. You do not have to do a general practice residency, but about 30% of dental school graduates will do a residency. Like a GPR, general practice residency in a hospital base. And so I did that in New York. My other goal, though, for going to New York is my passion for theater. So, you know, growing up,
I have that same. I love that too. I love the arts. That's I love it.
Me too. And so that was my other. I had these I turned my life as 2 Trains Running. One of my favorite playwrights, August Wilson. And so I had this science love and this love for serving humanity through oral health care. being a dentist, but then also I had this passion of theater and the arts. And so going to New York for those 2 years, I was able to explore my passion in the arts and do some things at Tisch School of the Arts and Harlem School of the Arts, and sang in a couple of jazz ensembles. And then so when I finished my 2 years in New York, I had to decide where to go for my specialty training. And I went back to Michigan and specialized in endodontics. So my specialty area is root canals, or the area of endodontics. And so and that's what we do at Renaissance Endodontics. We do root canals, we do implants, and periodontal services at our office.
Nice.
I mean, how did you even want to become a dentist? You was already focused. What drew you to dentistry?
taking me back, sis. So yeah, and that's a great question, because when I was in the second grade, they asked you, what do you want to be when you grow up? I said I want to be a doctor. Mm-hmm. And what was so cool about it, again, that's why I give hats off to DPS and teachers in period, because the community, when I said I wanted to be a doctor, my school teacher, the teacher's aide, which was my mother's best friend, Miss Peggy Spears, principal, everybody said, he's going to be a doctor, and then I'm like, I saw the response on everybody's face. I'm like, so I better be a doctor now. They were so excited and happy that affirmation, from the community meant the world. And so that, whenever I say I'm going to be a doctor, he's going to be a doctor. That's Todd. He's going to be a doctor. And even to the point that the homies in the neighborhood, because I grew up in Detroit. I didn't grow up on the outskirts. I grew up on Prairie Street in Pembroke. Shout out to Prairie Street. And I mean, so even the homies in the neighborhood, I recall walking from the bus stop, because going to Cass, y'all, as you know, we had to go all the way downtown.
That's right. Got to catch the bus. Yeah.
I remember them telling me, listen, if anybody bother you going to the bus stop, I told everybody, you don't mess with Todd Ester. He gonna be a doctor. I mean, it was so crazy that and I recall that vividly. The homies, I told them, because how things be acting on certain street corners. I told them, don't mess with you when you go by with your books, because you gotta be a doctor. And so it was so cool. But when I got to high school at Cass and we started looking at the different health professions, I navigated through several of them. I thought I wanted to be a pediatrician because, of course, I had seen a pediatrician, right, children's doctor. I thought then I may want to be a mortuary scientist. So I went down to Wayne State, did an autopsy. It was like, observe. I'm sorry. I observed an autopsy. Let me get that right. And I was like, oh no, that is not for me. I want real people. That's right. That still have life in them. And so then then the dentist came and spoke to us. And when he talked about the ability to work with your hands and the artistry that's in dentistry, and how you educate people and the independence that comes from being a dentist, then that really resonated with me. And it was clear at that time that I wanted to, be my own boss, work with people. And then the smile is so important. We really see the power of a smile, sis.
I'm telling you, you ain't got to tell me it's like a hug.
Come on now. Your self-esteem is found in your smile. Your whole positive self begins. And the power of the teeth. So if you closed your eyes and thought about any of your relatives, your kids, your family, your best friend, you could tell me what their teeth look like. Mm-hmm. And so there's been some studies to show that, teeth and the smile, and it's more important even than sometimes how people will remember a person is from their smile. Mm-hmm. And so, so again, you can imagine though, on the other side of that smile, for those who really want to have a good, nice smile, but really can't get to a dentist or afford it, that's where the work and the service that you talked about in my bio comes out, because the ability to get people into service who will reach out to people and help those who may not have access, to good dental care, to get the smile and achieve the smile that they want. How we can help meet that gap is really about what my work is about in my role at the school. But definitely, the power of that smile really was one of the things that really kind of brought me into the profession.
Wow. Wonderful. Because I'm like you, that smile is, and we automatically, because that was draws us.
Yes.
That's a serious testimony. And what grade were you in when you decided for sure there was going to be a dentist?
So I was actually in the I would say it was between my 11th and my summer of my 11th and 12th grade where I really defined it. And it was starting at the beginning of the 11th grade, but by the summer, that's when I got a chance to observe my first dentist in practice. And shadowing is so big. And so thanks to all the dentists out there who let students come in and shadow. Dr. George Taylor, who was a member of New Prospect Baptist Church, the first person I got to go shadow. So again, the importance of the church, right?
Right,
and the community for everything. You can find everything at the church.
Yeah, you can.
Dr. Taylor was there at the church, but check this story out. Dr. Taylor, not only at that time, he was a professor at UDM, and then he then moved to Michigan. So by the time I went to Morehouse, so he wrote my letters of recommendation for Morehouse. By the time I graduated Morehouse, came back to Michigan. Now he was a faculty member at Michigan. So he was on my thesis paper. I did research with him. He has been a mentor for life. And I mean, and it started at the church in Detroit at New Prospect under the leadership of Samuel Leon Whitney. And I just tell you, as a pastor, and I just give honor to that history, because so, we take for granted just where, they say to be a man, you need to see a man, to be a woman, you need to see a woman. And it's so important when you have people, and even at the church, and the importance of the church in our lives. So I just wanted to put a stamp on that. But yes, Dr. Taylor in the 11th grade, come on in and watch me do my thing. And after I did that, it was on the pop, and it was my future, and still to the day. So Dr. Taylor now is he's an associate dean for diversity at San Francisco's dental school, and I'm over at Michigan. So he's like, now you get to mentor me in this diversity space. So it's just amazing how life turns around.
You knew how to follow your path, that's for sure.
Oh my God!
That's
connected all those years, and so
That's why I asked that, because oftentimes, even when we get to our senior year in high school, we still really aren't sure what we want to be,
right?
And then so for you to in the second grade at least know you want to be somewhere in that in that genre, if you will, and then to follow it through till you got to you saw what your specialty was going to be.
Just followed the path. Right. Just everything was just in your way, laid out to you.
Right. And it's like we talk with some other guests.
I know you got a book coming, right?
Well, that sounds like a movie. It sounds like a movie.
Y'all know what it is now. Y'all know what it is. It ain't number God. Ain't number God.
That's what I'm about to say.
I can do all things.
Because all our guests, for the most part, we talk about their successes, their journey is always God placing the folks and the means in their path, and them having enough sense to listen,
making me want to look at my own life, like what step I missed.
Right. But
y'all right though. When God has a plan for you, He would give provision.
Yes.
To get to the goals He has for your life, and it's so clear in the Bible. But it's so nice, and I love what you all are doing, giving people a chance to share these stories. And these are testimonies, right?
Right.
The testimonies will set the captive free. And so as you release people by hearing what God is doing in the lives of people, that's where He gets all the praise and glory, even for this moment and for what you all are doing. It's just a thankfulness, because definitely, when I look back, and look at where people who are key in helping me see visions of what my life was and fulfilling what God had for me. It's just nothing but joy and just thanksgiving.
Right. That's right.
Same here.
And if anybody listening might wonder, he's a minister.
Ordained at New Prospect Baptist Church under the leadership of Pastor Pastor J. Johnson.
That's right.
The angel that she is and has always been. But she's looking down right now, smiling at this. She's smiling at this right now. She's seeing y'all doing y'all thing.
Right. We sure hope so. So then you went to U of M, and I don't want to downplay your the practice that you started. So let's talk about that real quick.
Okay.
How you got that going, and what was the aim, and what's going on now?
Yes, sir. So been blessed now for about going on 19 years to be in practice at Renaissance Endodontics. Me and my business partner, Dr. Brad Griffin, my ride or die, my other side, if we were, because it's a business relationship, it's just like another marriage. And so I'm just so thankful that Dr. Griffin went to Michigan, did his residency at Harlem Hospital, went to Columbia for endo school. And then we decided it's going to be Renaissance Endodontics. And Renaissance Endodontics is named for the Harlem Renaissance.
Okay.
You guys thought I was going to say the Renaissance.
I was wondering.
It's named for the Harlem Renaissance, and when you think about excellence, which was the Harlem Renaissance, and even timely for this time. So one thing, if I could take a little detour on this story and just tell you a little bit about the Harlem Renaissance. So, at the time of the early 1900s, when we had the bubonic plague, 1918, 1916, right. It was the roaring 20s where the Harlem Renaissance really got started. And so when I was thinking about COVID and what we're going through now with this pandemic, and then even looking at this whole racial equity movement that Black Lives Matters, really kind of kicked off at the unfortunate murder of so many people, pertaining to namely even George Floyd and Ahmaud Arbery and so many others. Right. But you think about, we as a people of color, what has happened at that time now is this racial reckoning that's taking place. And we're seeing in so many ways, people coming to the table and saying, we got to do better around justice for all, right?
Right.
And
right.
I mean, but the Harlem Renaissance also, it started at the end of a pandemic. And then the Harlem Renaissance is all about the arts and about the Black bourgeoisie, and you had jazz was created. You had you had all this prose and poetry. You had all these artists who were writing, helping elevate us as a people, and maybe even bring us out of what was the pandemic of the time, right? The plague. And so I just think we as people, like even what you all are doing, again, shout out to you all, because it's like being able to create something, because Tina said earlier, this was created in the midst of COVID. This was created in the pandemic. Right. But really and truly, that's so powerful, because that's what we do as people. We learn how to be creative, innovative, and we always know how to be resilient. Right. And so I think that the whole piece about what we are able to do and what our people are going to do to bring us out of this time is going to be tied to that. So of course, when we named our company Renaissance and Endowments for the Harlem Renaissance, it was a tap into that Black excellence. Okay. And I just see so many evidence of it happening in so many ways. Myself, Dr. Griffin is the other endodontist, and then Dr. Neely, Dr. Anthony Neely is the periodontist who works in our office doing our dental implants. And so the three of us are the practitioners. We have a wonderful team. So if any of my team folks are out there, hello, y'all, our Renaissance Endodontic family, and we're thankful to have team members who've been with us since we've started, because it's really about just how we elevate excellent oral health care in the community. Yes. Of the area. And now we're, of course, in Southfield, Michigan, and we're just so thankful.
All right. Cool.
Look, I want you to reach more.
Yes, ma'am. I want thank you for giving me this opportunity. Let's reach some more right now.
Yeah. And and most of the folks in our community, even though some of us don't have access, but the ones that do have access to insurance, why don't we spare the dentist so?
Great question.
How can we get them past the fear? Because my doctor told me I got a forever smile. I've been always with the dentist, so I'm like, I'm ready. I mean, straight to the end.
Right, the power of that forever smile.
That's right.
Yeah, I think that's one way, right, to get over it, is to be able to feel comfortable and good about your smile, your oral health. We know there's so many things that our oral health allows us to do, right? We do a whole lot with our mouths, right? I'm not going to try. Y'all fill in the blanks out there in Facebook. I'm not going to talk to all the blanks. But we do a whole lot with our mouths. And so they're so important. I mean, namely, one of them is to eat, right? I mean, how do we get food in? Then to speak, if our teeth aren't situated right, I can't get my ST sounds and my TH sounds and my stutter sounds and my tongue is attached to my floor in the wrong way. I mean, there's so many things our mouths provide for us. The other thing that's so important is that the mouth is really the harbinger of systemic health. So for example, anemias and certain diseases, they have manifestations in the mouth. Right. And so one thing, yes. And so one thing, in the oral pathology diagnosis, one of the things I think when you know better, you can do better. So I think one way to help drive people past some of that dental phobia or fear is just the understanding that, hey, if I don't go, I'm not doing the best I can do to take care of my instrument, this God-given gift that is our body. Right. When I was studying biology, I was so amazed at the creation that God created in the human body, because as you're studying the body in so many ways, it just affirms God's magnificence, just the way it has come together. And I think, so being able to take care of our instrument, I think that can push people past some of the fear, finding practitioners. And if we have more practitioners from, historically underrepresented backgrounds like African-American and Native American, Latino, going into their communities to practice, that's another way, because people are more comfortable going to practitioners sometimes when they reflect them, whether they're from in some way, their identities in some way. But when you have somebody you can really connect with as a practitioner, healthcare practitioner, it makes all the difference too. And there's even some studies now that say you get better health outcomes from going to practitioners that you identify with. So I think these are some ways to push past that. But I think definitely we need to also just have more times like this just to talk about it and meet people and say, he or she's just a real person. I'm going to see them. I'm comfortable with them. And then what always happens with them, because I'm a dental specialist, a lot of times, when dentist patients will come and say, well, can you send me to somebody? Who do you know that you will send me to? And, and it's just affirms, but we're just talking about that. People, when they get comfortable with someone. And so I would say to all the people out there in your audience, if you're comfortable with a practitioner, whether they're your, they work on your feet or they work on your, whatever part of your body they are, ask them for a reference, to someone else that's like them for you, and let that push you past some of that fear. But I think we got to push past fear, sis. We got to push past it.
We do, because I'm like you. I'm glad you brought that up about Lise going and being diagnosed by dentists, because that's how mainly I got diagnosed too, is by my dentist. Because I go to the dentist twice a year, and I end up getting blisters in my mouth. And then he told me that I need to really get that checked out. And then that's when I discovered I had lupus.
Praise God.
Yeah, those blisters. And
that was some early detection that helped you.
Early detection.
That's praise God.
Between my beautician and the dentist. But the dentist was the first one said he noticed something was going on.
Right. And the problem is, though, especially in our community, is that when we see signs, stuff that isn't normal with our bodies, that we need to do something about it, not just ignore it.
Yes, sir.
Because too many times I had to go away, and then when it goes away, we say, "See, it went away." Not realizing that it's probably going to come back if it's something bad, and then when it comes back the next time, it's going to be worse.
Yes, sir.
So
early detection. If you have a question, don't be your own, physician, dentist, healthcare provider. Don't come and let us do our job for you and help you make those decisions. It saves lives. And in the time of COVID, that's really exacerbated the disparities that exist in healthcare. It's forever showing us that importance of going in for early detection and getting some help to help you stay around for your family. So please, fam, do it. Go get checked out. Go get checked out.
That's right. So the business still going good.
We have been blessed, even through COVID, to never have to close. And this is our second big recession. So we navigated through the recession that was, back in 2011, 2009. And we're still thriving now. And so we're just thankful to have a practice in a business that still has a value. That can navigate even tough times. And we're still kind of like a small mom and pop business. It's just me and my business partner. We're the owners of it, and being able to navigate through difficult times is so important.
Nice.
And look, we still want to get our mouth fixed.
Of course. I mean, so the one reason why I chose endodontics for my specialty was because it's not an option when you have dental pain. So if anybody in the audience who's ever had dental pain, they know I got to go get something done. And you'll go to your general dentist. Many root canals are done by your general family dentist, but sometimes they'll send you to the specialist to do it. And, or you'll come to the specialist. And I tell you, definitely, that's a lifesaver, and it's a game changer, because you're not eating, you're not drinking. Sometimes you're even swollen, and so the options are either get something done or take it out. When they come to us, and so so it was important for us to even stay open in all seriousness during the pandemic as it first started, because, you know, the health center was getting overrun in the emergency rooms at that time. And so so along with essential, you know, healthcare, we were part of that to stay open for dentistry, oral surgeons and endodontists, so that those patients wouldn't go into the emergency room, they can come and be seen. So we stayed open through the pandemic. And I want to thank God, because even with universal precautions, you know, no one in my team got sick during those early times of the pandemic. And we were just we didn't know about all the advanced PPE at that time. We were just using what we had been using, the universal precautions and good covering by God.
Yes,
and,
sir.
We were
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
To be fine. So just, you know, but definitely it's been a blessing. We've been able to thrive through the pandemic, and we're thankful and we feel blessed.
Right. And you know, anybody that's had any dental issues know that the pain usually only comes late at night.
Or on a holiday, vacation.
On vacation.
Well, yeah, I do have two. I've had 2 root canals. So
okay. How'd they go?
Very well.
Praise God.
That's
Praise
right.
God.
I'm still chomping on the same one, and I haven't had any problems for years.
Still chomping. You still chomping, huh?
Got forever teeth. Because I'm still going to the dentist.
Right.
But another thing I wanted to ask you about too, Todd, is like now bottled water. Now, you know, that's one of the up and coming. I mean, it's been epidemic and addiction for a long time. But I just found out that most water don't even have the fluoride that decayed. So
the bottled water may not have fluoride.
Even people's home filter systems.
The filter,
that's correct.
The filter filters the fluoride
and
out.
we was just. So should I start just drinking more tap water? What?
So what's interesting about fluoridation of water? First of all, historically, you know, it started here in Michigan, right? The place we fluoridated was in Grand Rapids, Michigan. One of the top public health findings for the 19th century was the fluoridation of water. It was a game changer. The interesting thing about fluoride in the teeth is when you really need them is really as teeth are developing. So it's important, you know, in utero, and, you know, we get so much water in our system that we're not even recognizing. When you brush your teeth, when you prepare food, most people are using bottled water to prepare food, or, you know, or using bottled water to boil. So, you know, you'll find that it gets into the system in many, many different other ways besides just, you know, you just ingest it by drinking. The other thing, though, too, is as those teeth are developing for young children, so we find those developing teeth as we're going through the mixed dentition from, you know, your baby teeth to your permanent teeth, that period of time from 0 to 13, 14, you know, as those teeth are coming in, are still, again, is that point of time where getting fluoride in, it happens and is important. And so it happens through the water as one, but of course, going to the dentist and getting those fluoride treatments, using a fluoride-based toothpaste, you know, and so many of us are very on top of that for our children. And so that's really the most effective time of the fluoride. Unfortunately for us, that's a little older than 14, 15, 20. You know,
30, 40.
Kind of done. We done did what we're gonna do with those teeth. You know?
They grown.
They grown. We hold on in a different way. But it's still important. Fluoride can still be important in all seriousness in the adults. But definitely more so important for children. And many times we make sure we're doing those things. And then as adults, we go in and get those fluoride treatments still. And that usually is going to help us in the ways we need. You may find for your young children, you may have seen things like white spots because of over-fluoridation. And so there was some thoughts around that, you know, at a time, because we were doing so much with the fluoride. So I think there's a good balance. And most people will find that now that people really need to look out who may be in your audience who are on well water or water that doesn't come from the city public service, to make sure that they have fluorides in their well. And then as long as that's the case, you'll find for the most part there'll be a good balance in those two worlds. Particularly if you're going to the dentist twice a year, getting your cleaning and your fluoride treatments. You should be good.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Thank you. We getting educated today.
I know, that's what I'm saying.
Okay, so what I want to do is we brought it to midway point. I want to ask you this one question, then we're going to get into your work at U of M. We talked about it earlier today. Things my mother never told me. So you've been on a wonderful journey, as we've all heard, but through your testimony here. Is there anything that you discovered while on that journey that your mother did not prepare you for, that when you encountered it, you said, "Boy, I wish my mother had told me that"?
Yeah, you know, that's a great question. I was thinking about that as we were preparing and prepping for it. this evening, I'll tell you, man, you know, when your mom's in heaven, there's nothing that you feel she didn't tell you, right? I don't have anything that's just very salient in my mind around what she didn't tell me.
Mm-hmm.
But I'll tell you, what I wish I had from my mother is more time.
Yeah.
You know, I wish as I had more wisdom when she was alive to listen to some of the things. And what's so wonderful about love and unconditional love is that it doesn't die, right? We know that Christ fulfilled that commitment for us, you know, in unconditional love. And so that unconditional love. So now I don't want to get too deep about it, but, you know, I still am connected to my mother. So she's still talking, you know?
Yes.
And I think there's an interesting way in which, and for those who have loved ones who've passed probably can understand this as well, that, you know, I still talk to her. She still talks to me. Now, of course, that's on a spiritual level, right? I'm not talking about saying, I'm talking to my mom. I can't talk to you right now. I'm not doing that, right? But what I'm trying to say is, you know, when you're connected, you're connected. My mother, I'm a mama's boy. I was born, I'm the youngest of four, as I already said, and me and my mother were extremely close. But I was so thankful I was able to be a part of my mother's caregiving with me and my siblings. And I'm so thankful to my brothers and my sister, who's now in heaven as well. I'm just so thankful to the fact that I was, you know, we were able to care for my mother and give back the kind of unconditional love she gave to us. My mother would, like many of our mothers, you know, she would buy stuff for her kids, you know, before she ever had it. The first Coach purse she bought was for her daughter, not for her. You know what I'm saying? You know, my sister had leather coats before my mother had. I mean, it was like, and I would sit back and like, how do they do that? Why would you get for you? And I was the age difference between my siblings was enough that I was, oh, you said that's Tenia. And I'm like, it was that sacrifice, right? That sacrifice of love was so powerful that, you know, so then as I got older, you know, one of my goals was really just to give my parents, you know, both my mother and father, whatever I could in love. And because, you know, their love was more so than anything you could buy. I'm not talking about things, but just to give them back time and give them back interest and compassion and love and joy. And I mean, so we were able to have those times, even as we caregive for both my mother and my father. And it was a blessed time. So yeah. So to that question, things you wish your mother had taught you, I just think her lessons are so prevalent still in me. I feel like I do a lot of the things that, you know, she was really all about, like taking care of others. She was the griot. She knew the family history. I love history. Yeah. I mean, it's just, I just wish I was wise enough to understand, you know, some of the things, or maybe time would have allowed us to be here a little longer as I got older and went through other things that she could be there to help me with. But I still feel like, you know, for all of us who don't have our mothers here on earth, stay connected to them. Keep talking to them. And she'll still sometimes I'll hear her voice and say, go on, don't do that. Go that way.
I know. And my mother's...
Be careful about them. Don't be careful with them. You know?
That's right.
I hear my mother, man. So yes.
My mother's heavenly birthday is on Sunday, the 7th. And like you said, I just find myself, you know, saying things she would have said, or my brother would have said, oh, you said... That's what mom would do, you know what I'm saying? Right.
And you know, the crazy thing is that even though the show is called Things My Mother Never Told Me, the title came about when my sisters and I went to my mother's grave to, you know, clean it up and put flowers there. And at the time we had already decided we were going to do the podcast, tried to come up with a title for it, and every title that I came up with was already taken. And so coming home from the gravesite, it occurred to me that, you know, my mother died in 85. So it was like, she's been gone so long that there are so many things that have happened from the time that, you know, that I thought about the idea for the show and her death, that there was just stuff that she couldn't have told me because it didn't exist.
Yes.
And so, you know, to your point about still having that conversation and being connected, that's where that came from.
That's powerful, brother. Yeah. That's powerful.
Yeah,
you know, that is so powerful to hear you say that, Damon, and recognize, you know, that the understanding, though, because so I've had a friend, and I'm not going to steal his testimony, but I just want to just give this example of what his mother passed when he was 5 years old. Okay. And he always said, my mother taught me everything I need to know in my life. Mm-hmm. And I was, you know, and I would talk to him, okay, and he would say, because she taught me to have a relationship with Christ. Mm-hmm. By having that, gave me everything in my life journey that I needed. And so with your example you just said about your mom's passing and the things that she wasn't here for, the internet, cell phones, all that kind of stuff that is so part of our world, we wouldn't know what we do without a cell phone or our internet. But it's like their wisdom, their information, their knowledge gives us what we need to even know how to handle a cell phone or handle social media or handle all the things that come to be. So yeah, I get you, brother. That wisdom, man, and that mother's love and that mother's wit. Ooh. Oh yes, sir. Yeah. My uncle used to say about my mother, she always could see down the road a little farther than most.
That's right.
And that's always what I try. I want to be able to see down that road a little farther.
Just a little farther.
Like, look, you can see it because your children, they see you can see it now. Yes, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
That is so true.
Right. And since you brought that up, how old are the kids now?
Man, my son is now 19 at Morehouse College.
Wonderful.
So I went down there as a first generation college graduate. In one lifetime, he goes down as a legacy. I figured that out, right? Yeah. So I can't even help him. I don't know how to tell him how to be a legacy. I could tell him how to be a first generation college graduate. I can tell him how to be a legacy. And then my daughter is getting ready for high school. She's 13 years old, Iman. So we've been really blessed. And she came in today with her honor roll certificate, so we had to celebrate her today.
I know.
Not playing with them.
That's right. Look, she come from good stock.
That's right.
That is good.
And how my sister doing?
Oh my goodness, she's doing fine. She's I had to miss parent teacher conferences tonight to be on the podcast. So she's handling the parent teacher conference by herself. So she all right.
She all right. Yeah, because there ain't nothing but good news anyway.
Nothing but good news.
You got that part right.
She's enjoying nursing and she works with cardiac health for patients and nursing. So she's doing her thing out there in the world as well.
I tell you, y'all some good old servants. That's all I can say.
God is good. You guys doing your part. We trying to hang out with y'all. What you talking about?
Yeah, you definitely used to hang out with us.
Yeah, well, you doing good what you're doing though. That's for sure.
I know. I praise God. Thank God for you.
Okay, so now let's get to the other part. I don't want to cheat you of him out of their glory. So how did that come about? You winding up on faculty there?
So that's a great question. I tell you, I mentioned Dr. Jones, and God rest his soul. He just passed Labor Day of this year.
Oh wow!
And blessings to him and his family. So as he recruited, me from school and from Morehouse, he did that for hundreds of other dentists across the nation, and who came to Michigan. Michigan started the Office of Minority Affairs in 1971 with Dr. Jones and then Dr. Dean Mann, who was the dean at the time. And so when I got to Michigan for dental school, I always was wondering, like I said, I talked about that 2 trains running earlier, that I had this passion for theater and this passion for, dentistry, oral health and healthcare. And as I got to the campus, and I was always involved in leadership, and things like that as a student leader and engaged in a lot of different ways. And so I was wondering, what would I want to do when I get out? And I never thought that I wanted to maybe teach, but I thought I would like to do what Dr. Jones did, because I thought it was so cool to open up the doors of access to the profession to people from underrepresented backgrounds. Right now, we're about African Americans, about 14% of in the society in America, and we only represent about 3% of dentists.
Oh, wow.
And so, when we think about parity and the ability to get more people who look like us in the profession, there's still a gap and there's still work to do. So that's one of those disparities, or those injustices in the world that I fight. And so I felt like Dr. Jones was at fighting that by the work he did to recruit and to make to help people of color feel comfortable coming to a place like Michigan, and and being able to thrive through a program and become their dream and their goal of being a dentist. And so that was always a thing. And so when I came to the endo program, Dr. Jones was retiring, and so the then dean, Dr. Bill Kotowitz, he approached me about it, and it was so funny when he approached me. And I got to give God the glory on this again, because when he approached me about this, I was back from New York for about 4 or 5 months. I was my first semester of my program. And I was ambivalent. I'm like, why did I come back to Michigan? Man, I could have stayed in New York. I love New York. I could still be doing theater. I could have done Columbia. I could have all these things.
You could have been an actor by now. Look.
Right. I'm like, why am I back at Michigan? And so when Dr. Collowitz approached me about the position, and as he was speaking, I just started smiling because at the same time he was talking about, if you're interested, we'll make it available for you. We'll hold the position till you get out of the grad program. And I'm like, when he was speaking, God was like, that's why I need you to come back to Michigan. And so I just started laughing. It's not, and I apologized to Dean Collins. I was like, I'm sorry, I'm not laughing at you. I said, but God just told me that this is why I need to say yes to this position.
Yes.
And it was just like that. So after that point, no more ambivalence about, because, when you pray to God about show me, lead me, guide me. And that's always my prayer at each one of my steps. And I came back to Michigan based on God kind of saying, go back to Michigan about, and so when I got there, I was like still ambivalent. Like sometimes we are as human beings, we just don't get it,
Right.
But God affirmed that in that moment. So for me, the work at the office really is part of my calling. It's really a part of my work that God has ordained. And just get this, Damon and Tina, I stepped away from the work in 2006. And at that time, you may recall, I was taking my role at the church and in ministry, and I was working with the church a lot more in different efforts. And then my mother and father showed up where we started caregiving for them. So 7 years after walking away from the university, in 2014, I became available that I ended up back there through a long story of things.
Well, like
and
you said,
I tell you, so when God gives you what you're supposed to do, and He brings you back to spaces.
That's right.
Yeah, so this is really a part of my calling, my ministry, my service of humankind is this working. So that's the way in which I receive and do it.
Right, and you remember he did say he was going to hold a position for you. you just didn't know he meant whenever you leave it, whenever you need to come back, it'll still be there.
Just to not had no idea, brother. And and so that's the thing. I think that a lot of times we find, it's hard to figure out life, right? And even to the question, and I keep coming back to your question on the board right behind y'all, things you wish your mom would have told you, but it's like there's just some things you can't get unless you go to the Heavenly Father, Mother, and answer them and affirm them, because who knows the arc of life? Like, who knows how much time? Who knows, what circumstances and situations? But when you look back at it, in all of our journeys, individually and collectively, it's like, wow, I see how God worked that out.
Yes.
And so I think that is really the message, is just staying connected to the one who knows it all.
Yes. I mean, he got the answer to every solution. You're right.
Yes, ma'am.
That's all right. So I want to touch on one thing, because you told us don't read all this stuff, but
don't read all that stuff.
Yeah, but you got recognized as the top endodontist from Our Magazine in 2008 to 2020.
Yeah, they do that every year, and we've been blessed to be continually recognized. And what's nice about that is that comes from your peers in the community. Is gather that. So, so we're thankful for that. I guess it gives me the chance to really say there's only 3 Black endodontists in the state of Michigan, and so me, my business partner, and Dr. Joan Lanier are the 3 active endodontists. There's been a couple more, Dr. Wortham, Dr. Bob Ellison, in the area of Michigan practicing, but we're the only 3 practicing now for probably over 20-30 years.
Wow.
And so so that, again, why I do the work at Michigan, because we need more of us get into these specialties, get into the profession, and then it's not going to happen unless we actively do it. And so I'm thankful for my current Dean McCauley, and all the leadership team at the school where I'm a part of, and the work that we're doing. It's making a difference. Michigan has graduated the 3rd largest number of Black dentists outside of Howard and Meharry, the 2 Black dental schools.
Right.
And we've graduated, the first Black female to be trained in dentistry in the United States, graduated from Michigan. Get this, y'all, in 1890.
Oh, wow.
He does
1890.
Right.
And so can you imagine just how long that kind of work's been going on? But I just wanted you gave me a chance to just get that in, the fact that it's nice to be recognized by your own. And it's nice to be recognized, and stay as being a part of the community as well. So we take that honor. We don't take that honor lightly.
Well, you part of history. Also.
Yes, man, I'm old enough to be part of history, huh?
Yeah.
They try to call me old, man. I thought I was looking young today. I came on with my young outfit on. But it is what it is.
Right.
Man, you are young.
That's right. Yeah. Everybody young. That's right now.
Hey, I tell all of them, we all look good breathing.
Sure
Come
do.
on now. Yes, we do.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do.
Be alive, sis. Yes, we do.
So earlier today, you were talking about a program that you have coming up. I think that you are involved in.
For young people out there, or if you know somebody who's interested in dentistry, we have a program called Profile for Success. It's at the University of Michigan. It's a program that helps students from disadvantaged backgrounds get into the profession. And if you're underrepresented in dentistry, we want to be able to help you too, because we know we got to do something about that. So if you have an interest in dentistry, you know someone, they should look at our summer program. It's a 6-week, typically on-campus experience. Of course, COVID, we shifted to virtual, but we were able to hold the program even through the pandemic. Mm-hmm. We help students get the training they need to do well on their dental aptitude test. That's the test you'll take for the dental school, as well as, get them information on interview tips, how to put the application together, get them exposure to the profession, hands-on things, and mentorship. And so it's a great program now. We've had 27 cohorts of the program over these years. Wow. It's been in existence since 1994. And definitely it's a great way to kind of get segued into dental school. So please, if you have an interest, please check out our website. I think you're going to make available on my website and the flyer for that program. If you know some young people, please put them in touch with us. This is how we do it. You never know where you're going to meet that young dentist. And sometimes, just like me, it takes, you got to see one to be one sometimes. And so it's like, I still, and one thing that happens every year, and it still hurts my heart when it happens, but I recognize the importance of it, is when a young person comes into our program and says, "You're the second or the first Black dentist I've ever seen."
Oh, wow.
And I'm like, oh my goodness. And so I know that just tells me, we got work to do.
Yeah, work to do. Right.
So thank you for giving us that platform to help get that out there today.
Right. Well, do me a favor and go ahead and read out the website.
Oh, so it's the University of Michigan website is dent.umich dent.umich.edu and you put Profile for Success. So you can just put in Profile for Success, that word profile, the word FOR4, and then the word success, SUCCESS, and they'll come right up now. Google is so nice now. You can just put keywords and it'll go right up. So it'll come right up for you. But Profile for Success is a summer program.
Okay, right. Yeah, Google can read your mind now.
That's a whole nother presentation. Let's not go there. Let's not even go there, Dave. You about to start something.
Right. We all been there.
Yes, sir. That's the thing Mama would have told us. Don't y'all be letting them get your information out there on that internet. Mama would have told us that now. Don't even play around. Now, Mama would have said, don't give them your number. Don't put your stuff out there.
Yeah. Stay off them internets.
Stay off them internet, them social medias and stuff.
Oh, I know. I'm like you. I miss my mama. Yes,
come on now. Don't you just miss them? Mm-hmm. And that's why I'm so glad y'all lifting mothers up, because that wisdom, they live in us. Like you said, we getting old, but the thing is, they live in us. So their voices are still in us.
Right. Mm-hmm. That's right.
We connect them to the next generation. And then what do our kids say about us? You acting like your grandma. You acting like granddad. Look at it. He sounds just like him. I mean, that's every time they say that, I'm so happy when they say that. I'm like, yes, that means they'll never die. That means they'll never die.
That's right. That's right.
Oh,
that's
right. Yes.
Right. And so another thing, board member of ADEA.
That's American Dental Education Association. So they have a board, they do a program, they have a board for diversity, equity, and inclusion, which is really the work for justice, man. It's justice work. It's really how we can make our profession more diverse, more equitable for all, more inclusive. And so those themes are really huge. You read early in the bio that on our campus at Michigan, we've been in a part of a 5-year strategic plan for diversity, equity, and inclusion. Mm-hmm. We use the acronym DEI, but I'm trying to keep saying this so people know what it is.
Right,
diversity, equity, and inclusion. And the thing that's so nice about it, it has started to shine a light on the need, to be more equitable, more inclusive of all groups and all backgrounds and all different types of differences. And so that's been a help. I think, I've been doing this work now for over close to 20 years if I add up all the sum of the years. And I have never seen an effort be so concentrated, so focused, but so with so many positive outcomes than our DEI president. President Schlissel on our campus led the effort, and it was a part of his administration. And it really has changed our campus. And so we have a good foundation now to do great work. But we're also seeing now DEI kind of spread in many ways across the country. And so our American Dental Education Association has been a champion in this work as well. And so we're coming together. And I think, again, the movement that was Black Lives Matter and is Black Lives Matter, but we call it our racial equity movement in our world, has really been profound. And people are saying, what can we do? And then shout out to all the allies, because it's not about any one particular group only doing the work. It's about how others recognize we need to help work with all people across difference to make a difference.
That.
Right.
Because we have
seen allies come up in a powerful way. Yeah.
Yeah. We had Matthew Warren on here. His because he's director of and diversity. That's for the incoming students.
Right.
Fantastic.
We have a little cousin. She's at Western Michigan. They all in
right.
Yeah, they doing all this diversity.
Awesome. And then we had PJ that was down in Florida. Yeah, we've had 3 or 4 guests that have actually doing work at colleges, at universities.
Yeah, and you start naming some of the prospect folk. There's another one, Philip Lewis.
Right,
yes,
is real profound now. With his work with Huffington Post.
He was on here
at Tulane. Kevin is working in the space of admission student affairs at Tulane. So he'd be another great one to get on. The prospect has produced so many stars.
Right. Well, Philip was on here.
Awesome.
Right. Yeah. And we've had probably 2/3 of our guests are new prospect.
Fantastic. Well, I'm so glad to be a part of the number.
Yeah. Yeah, because we recognize that there are so many people involved in a new prospect that are doing great things out there.
Yes, sir.
That are trying to make a difference in the world. And that's what this is all about. It's we showcasing you because you doing the work. But by doing that, we showcasing the work that you're doing. So if you see what I'm saying, so
I see what you're saying, and all the people, all the influences that got us to this work, right? And church and New Prospect, can't say enough about what the church means in the life of our people. Can't say enough.
Yeah. And so as long as we putting that work in, and I like it that the young folks, and you still young. I don't care how long you've been doing it.
Yeah, no, that's right. That's right.
But
I'm like you. Ain't nothing like that corporate worship. Nothing like
yes, ma'am.
Right,
like
right. Out there carrying the baton to at least see that our voice is heard at the table.
Yes, sir.
So yeah, that's a wonderful thing. So you got anything else you want to share with the folks?
I just want to say, let's stay together. Let's continue to love each other. Let's give God all the praise and glory. And let's continue to lift up our race.
Yes.
Because I think as our race is lifted up, our world is lifted up.
Right.
I think
it's our time. It's the time.
What we do for the least of these. And I think just understanding it's all about one race, the human race.
That's
we got to get back to that it's about all of us together. It's going to take all of us to solve the world's problems. So I'm just want to send out a lot of love to everybody and just thank you for listening today. Thank you all for giving me this opportunity.
Thank you for accepting.
Yeah, we all about community, that's for sure. The Lord was too.
Right.
And to the highways and the byways.
That's right. That's right. And look, you'll love this. You'll love this because next week, you know Nancy Malone, don't you? From the church.
Yeah, I know that. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she does a lot of mission work down in Haiti.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah, she has an organization called Hands of Light in Action.
Oh, what a blessing.
And she just came back from being down in Haiti for all of last month. So she's going to be on here next week to talk about
the
work going on they're doing down there in Haiti. So that's
gonna have to chime. I'm going to log in.
Yeah. So
like you said, catch it on YouTube. If you
catch it on YouTube.
Yeah. We'll be on YouTube and all the podcast sites. So
Fantastic.
so you
it's been a joy. Thank you guys so much.
It has been a pleasure.
Thank you.
I'm telling you.
And we're gonna let you get ready to get that good report from the meeting.
Right now.
But also, I guess we need to catch the second quarter.
That's right. It's wrong. Yeah, it's right. It should be second quarter now. They better be up.
Well, you know how they do. You know how they do.
Right.
They like to be dramatic.
Yes, sir.
Come from behind.
Right. All you future dentists, you heard it from him. Dr. Todd B. Ester.
All right.
Thank you guys so much.
All right, thank you. We love you.
All right, love you too now.
All right, take care.
Bye-bye. I received that hug. Have a good one now.
You too. Thank you.
Bye.